Another episode of Marketing News Inc. Live with me, Shanna, and Vanessa. And today we have Kris Ellis with us. And Kris is actually going to give us a ton of money saving tips, a ton. And I'm pretty excited. So please, Kris, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Hello, everyone. Hey, first of all, I want to give it back to you, beautiful ladies. Thank you for welcoming me on your platform. I'm real excited to share, tax strategies and tax savings today. My name is Kris Ellis. I'm CEO of Ellis Pro Advisors LLC, and I've been in this industry for over 16 years, sharing tax tips and tax strategies to not only individuals, but small business owners and entrepreneurs who are just trying to get ahead from just living their life of paycheck to paycheck. I've been there, I've struggled, even after, I did 16 years in the Army as a veteran. You couldn't imagine when I was starting off as a private, I was struggling, because no one told me about taxes, no one told me about credit, nobody told me about budgeting. Or my mom, coming from a Caribbean family, my mom just told me, save your money, save your money. Okay, I saved the money, now what? What do I do next, right? Because I found that when you are living this adult life and you have left the nest, like, wow, did mom have to pay this? Did mom have to pay that? Rent, utilities. Of course, in the military, they give you, 3 hot meals and a place to stay. But your outside life, when you are trying to do things, you want to be able to save. So I'm here to help you with some tips that hopefully will help you if you implement it to help you move forward with what we call life. And now we're talking about life in what they haven't labeled it yet, in a recession. How would you like to know about those things?
Right.
That's a big thing that I'm hearing right now, because one of the clients that we work with, he posted that in his story, saying that most people who are actually employed are worried about the recession, because recession that would mean layoffs and everything, right? But for those who are freelancers, comment down below if you are a freelancer, a contractor, or building your business. We'd like to get to know what you do, how you help, and how many. I'm not gonna give too much of call to action. But before this chat, we were talking about freelancers can actually, I guess, the food that you spend when it comes to conducting your businesses can be tax deducted. Tell us more about that one, because I'm sure you as a foodie, right?
Yes. I am a foodie at heart. I love different cuisines. And that was just part of my appetite that I built up, traveling across the world when I was serving in the Army, right? So I've been to Korea, I've been to Germany, I've been to different places, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta try the food. So now, after life in the military, becoming a business owner, I'm like, they're going to tax you no matter what you do. So I like, man, I love numbers. Let me start studying accounting. So for you entrepreneurs, freelancers, and foodies, when you're doing business, what you want to do is, when you plan your business at a specific restaurant, this past weekend, me and a couple of business partners who came in, we ate at our College Park, and I'm not trying to give any advertising promotions, but, I call our Milk and Honey, and we went there and ate brunch. So what I did is I wrote down on my receipt, right? Because, of course, I covered the cost, because I wanted to entertain when you come to visit my city here in Atlanta, and what I did was I took not only the mileage for filling up for gas receipt, I took the brunch receipt from Milk and Honey, and when I came back home, I copied it on my printer, and then I wrote notes who I met with, the date, because receipts, when you have receipts, they fade away. And speaking for all tax accountants and tax strategists, we would love if you do not bring a shoebox of receipts at the end of the year. Right? Because that becomes bookkeeping. So we would love if you come with a folder of sheets that you copy your receipts on, right? And then you file it away. But when you make your documentation, make sure you write the date, who you met with, which restaurant, and also write down a summary of what you discussed for business, right? Because I want you to remember three questions. Ask yourself 3 questions when you're doing business. 1, is it necessary? 2, is it relevant to my business? And 3, is it in the produce of creating income for my family within my business? And when you ask yourself these quick questions and you have to say yes, 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 that it's valid to be able to be written off on your taxes for the IRS. And I want to be more specific. Make sure that your tax preparer is using the itemized Schedule C along with your 1040 to fill out your taxes.
How long should a freelancer or anybody who's conducting businesses, especially with meals and entertainment and also mileage, how long do they need to keep those receipts? Because like what you said,
great question.
Paid, but
yes.
When you take a picture of it, what's the fastest way for them to keep those records? Where should they store it? So in that way, they if IRS comes to knocking on their doors, where is this receipt coming from? Right.
So that's a great question, and it's really open-ended, right? So the basic answer is, you need to hold on to those records for at least 7 years, right? You want to put away those folders inside, you get one of those tubs from Walmart that you could put, all your paper in. People usually use it for clothes. But I say, put your paperwork in there and sign on top of it with a marker what year, right, that you're referring to. So you could go back and reference and put it away in the attic. But this is the thing. Based on different things, the IRS can go back on back taxes up to 3 years. But if they find an issue within your taxes and do an audit, now they're able to go back 10 years. They find more issues, they can go back for as long as you have been doing business to audit you. So that is why you have to make sure you have a great relationship and get the right tax strategist, right tax preparer, tax accountant to help you file your taxes, because it has to make sense to your business what you're writing off.
Anything that you want to ask, Shans?
I think one of the questions that we ran into in Marketing Muse is we actually hired VAs, and so the VAs are not in the country. How do we best approach something like that in terms of taxation and
so I also have a virtual assistant, right? And with the VAs now, they go more under the category of marketing, right? Because you have to utilize them for different tasks, but it more pertains to administration and marketing of your company. Because my VA is posting on my social media, with using my DMO, my daily method of operation for that day, for during the week. So I want to make sure, hey, I can't issue a 1099 for paying over $600, but what I can do is put this under the category of marketing, because they're actually marketing on my behalf. Right. So I want to take that expense and put it in that, label it in that category, and now I'm describing everything they've done for me, and now this makes sense. It was necessary. I was in the pursuit of pursuing to create income, and it makes sense for my business, because we have to hire help within our business because we can't be the CEO that does everything.
Right.
That's the way we start off. But as you try to increase your cash flow, you got to be able to have a percentage left on the side of every dollar for marketing efforts, a percentage for innovations, and this helps your business move forward no matter how much you're making, right? And then this leads us into the question, as a single member LLC or 1099 or freelancer, how do I pay myself?
That is
Right.
something like it's a huge question for everybody because I've seen it so many times, like coaches in particular, because they would go in and say like, hey, I made like 30,000, but how much of that has been spent on the business? Right? How
Now,
much you have saved and
great
how much
question.
you actually paid yourself.
Because you are just thinking about your business, and a lot of entrepreneurs, freelancers, even movie stars forget about their old sweet IRS, or as I like to say, Iris. Please do not forget Iris, right? As an entrepreneur, right, you're supposed to put aside 15.3% of every dollar in a savings. But if you're smart, you put in talk with your investment person, in a account that will accrue interest, right? That at the end of the year, you're able to have that money set aside in case you owe a tax debt, right? Because we're not paying taxes during the year, right? And I'm just talking about self-employed, single member LLCs who file at the end of the year, right? For those that are filing quarterly, it's different, right? That's a different level. So it's levels to this business, right? Self-employed 1099, then you become a single member LLC, and then as your cash flow increase, you want to move into a tax bracket called an S corp. But let's backtrack, right? To be more certain that you're putting aside 15%, 15.3. Now, when you're an employee, guess what? You're taxed at 35% off the top.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Take a look as an employee. Look at your check. FICA, Medicaid, all those alphabets. Before you even get paid, you're losing 30% of your income. And when you are filling out loan papers for credit cards, for loans, house loans, you are putting your gross, but you don't make that gross anymore. Well, you think you're making $100,000 for example, you're actually making $70,000 for the year. 30% goes to the IRS off the top, and then they pay you 70% and say, live off of this. Mm-hmm. How can you?
Right. Exactly.
With the inflation and the recession.
Exactly. And that's the truth of being employed. That's one of the reasons why when the market crashed in 2008, I was actually in a really good position because I had a really good job, and my job was doing very well, but I was also a mother, and I was in a crossroad. It was like, I was having kids. I didn't want to leave my kids. And then there's, the market crashing and just kind of over your head. And you're like, the reality is safety with all of that doesn't come. It's not necessarily the paycheck. It's really when you have your own business, that's when you have the control. Because like what you were saying, Uncle Sam is going to take his even before he gives it to you.
Or in the end, right? Even no matter, you got to pay to play with the IRS system. And that's all they're saying. Look, you can conduct business, you can work, but we just want our cut. Please don't forget about us. As you face interest, penalties, and even as you see on the news, even jail time.
Right.
They're serious about their taxes. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You still got to pay taxes after you pass away.
That's unfortunate, right? And even after you do jail time.
Yeah, right? Very unfortunate, right? And we have to be smart to make sure that we do our due diligence to just contribute our part and keep conducting business. So, from your experience, getting a second job wouldn't solve your issue, because now you're taxed even more because you just increased your tax bracket with that second job.
Yep. It's the same for overtime as well. It's
Right.
the same for overtime. Sometimes overtime is, Uncle Sam takes more because now you're making more money.
More money. And you're talking about, hey, I want to stay home with my babies. I want to have to pay the babysitter, but I have to if I want to continue to help support my family.
Right.
And so if you are living on the same income last year, did not increase your cash flow by adding a home-based business and living paycheck to paycheck, you are behind. So I'm an advocate for having a home-based business because it allows you to add up to 475 extra tax benefits for you to write off. It's there for you to take advantage of if you take that leap of faith and pursue your passion and turn it into a home-based business. Then you're allowed to take advantage of the tax write of 1099, freelancer, entrepreneur, self-employed. And this is what a lot of people learned over this pandemic. It was a double-edged sword. It hurt some people, but it also created some millionaires at the same time. And especially when it came to the PPP loan, that you are allowed to take advantage when you're incorporated as an LLC, just like the AT&Ts and the Wells Fargo, Bank of America of the world. Look at your statement for AT&T. Are they an LLC or not? They are. So if you're an LLC, guess what? You have the same advantage to take advantage of the PPP loan as long as you align with what? Secretary of the State incorporation paperwork, your EIN, and your business bank account. Boom.
Wow. So much value just in this conversation, and I have a lot more questions, but we got to wrap it up. What would be your one actionable last advice for us and for everyone who's listening in this episode?
So what I want you to take away from this is, one, always pay the IRS, right? Whether you put aside, as an entrepreneur, put aside 15% of every dollar. Two, always work on self-development, right? And three, please pay that tax preparer that's really good, right? They're going to take care of you. You need a tax strategist in your corner, right? You got to pay the people that's a specialist in their profession to help take care of you. Because if you're protected from that aspect, the world is your oyster to grow your business, because there's so much things out there as grants, as we learn the PPP loans. And when you're on top of your taxes, they cannot take advantage of you. All right.
There's a wisdom. Yeah, I love learning about like taxes and tax strategies, because hey, it's like, everybody's trying to go in and create that income, gaining that time and location freedom, but then sometimes we get hunkered down with the taxes.
Exactly. Yes, because at the end of it all, at the end of the year or whatever you do file, the IRS pull out the Excalibur and say guilty or not guilty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kris, and thank you for providing all these golden nuggets. I'm sure that with your workshop coming up, I know that you do have a virtual and in person in Atlanta, Georgia, correct? We'll go ahead and drop the links below, and thank you for tuning in, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.